I reported my roommate missing because she skipped her Wordle streak. My roommate Becca has played Wordle every single day for 847 days straight. Every morning at exactly 6:15 a.m., before she even gets out of bed, she solves that stupid puzzle and texts me her score. Green squares, yellow squares, sometimes a brag about getting it in 2 tries. I've woken up to those texts for over 2 years without fail. She's obsessive about it. She once solved Wordle during a fire drill in our building because she refused to break the streak. So when I woke up last Sunday morning and there was no text, I knew immediately something was wrong. I checked our message thread 3 times. Nothing. I told myself maybe she slept in, maybe she forgot, but Becca doesn't forget. That streak was her entire personality. I texted her a simple, "You good?" and waited. An hour passed. Then 2. My message sat on delivered, not read. That's when my stomach started to twist. Here's what you need to understand about Becca. She'd been dating this guy Derek for about 8 months. At first he seemed perfect. Flowers, dinner reservations, the whole act. Then he started showing up unannounced. He'd be waiting in our apartment lobby when she got home from work. He tracked her location constantly and called it caring about her safety. When she tried to set boundaries, he'd spiral into these guilt trips about how she was the only good thing in his life and he couldn't lose her. I told her it was getting scary and she got defensive. She said I didn't understand him, that he'd had a rough childhood and she was helping him heal. We fought about it a few times, but I backed off because I didn't want to push her away. Then about 3 weeks ago, she started acting different. She stopped going out with friends. She'd flinch when her phone buzzed. She asked me once, completely out of nowhere, if I thought someone could change their whole personality overnight. I didn't know what to say. She laughed it off and said she was just tired from work. By noon on Sunday, I was pacing our apartment. I called her 6 times, straight to voicemail every single time. I pulled up Find My Friends, and her location said, no location found. She never turns that off. We've shared locations since we moved in together freshman year of college. I checked her Instagram, and her last story was from Friday night, some boomerang of a coffee cup. Nothing since. I texted her sister asking if she'd heard from her, and her sister said Becca mentioned spending the weekend at Derek's place. My chest tightened. I'd never been to Derek's apartment. None of us had. He always came to ours, always insisted on picking Becca up, always had some excuse for why his place wasn't ready for visitors. I found his address through Becca's saved locations on our shared grocery app. She'd ordered food there once, months ago. I grabbed my keys and drove across town, telling myself the whole way that I was overreacting, that she'd laugh at me for being paranoid, that I'd feel stupid by dinner. Derek's building was one of those old converted warehouses with exposed brick and zero security. I walked right in and found apartment 4B at the end of a dim hallway. I knocked 3 times. No answer. I pressed my ear to the door and heard nothing at first. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze, a muffled thump, like someone hitting a wall. I knocked harder and called Becca's name. The thumping got louder, more frantic. I tried the handle, but it was locked. I called 911 right there in the hallway, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. The operator told me to stay calm and that units were on the way. Then I heard Derek's voice through the door, calm and cold. She doesn't want to see anyone right now. She's resting. I told him I wasn't leaving. He said I was trespassing and he'd call the cops. I told him they were already coming. The silence after that was the longest 3 minutes of my life. When the police finally arrived and got the door open, I saw her. Becca was in the back bedroom with her wrists zip-tied to a radiator pipe. Her face was bruised and her lips were cracked and dry like she hadn't had water in days. Her phone was smashed into pieces on the kitchen counter. Derek tried to tell the cops she was having a mental health episode and he was keeping her safe. He said it so calmly, so rehearsed, like he'd practiced it. Becca just looked at me with these hollow eyes and whispered, I couldn't send you my Wordle. That broke me. She'd been trying to signal me the only way she could think of, by breaking the one routine she knew I'd notice. Derek had taken everything else from her phone, her freedom, her voice, but he couldn't take our stupid morning ritual. The cops arrested him on the spot. Becca spent 4 days in the hospital recovering from dehydration and multiple injuries. She's living with her sister now, rebuilding slowly. She still plays Wordle every morning at 6:15 a.m., and she still texts me her score.